good morning everybody. Welcome back to our Wednesday webinar series. I'm Garrett Anderson, the Marketing Director for Contract Furnishings Mart. Here with my friend Jeff Kroll. He is our rep for SunTouch Heating Systems. We're in our Vancouver location today. Wanted to highlight, as the temperatures get a little bit colder right now, we're starting to think about heating our spaces instead of cooling them. So I brought Jeff in to talk a little bit about floor heat, some of the benefits, how it works, and why it's a great option for probably your project coming up. So Jeff, again, thank you for coming and joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's talk about this. First off, what are some of the benefits? Why would somebody consider floor heat for their space?
Well, floor heat is something that makes people very comfortable. Floor heat will heat not only the room, but it'll heat all the objects in the room. Where forced air just heats the air in the room, floor heat, especially radiant heat, is more comfortable in that it heats all the objects in the room, the table, the lamp, the dog, the couch, everything. So it's just more comfortable, and you don't have any air moving around in the room. It just heats the room, and that's it.
Right, and obviously heat rises, so having it start at the floor and work its way up does a really good job of, like you said, heating those things that you're touching and in contact with, not the air 12 feet above you.
Correct. That
you get with forced air.
Yeah. Think heated seats in your car. That's kind of what we're going for.
Right. And I know that we do most of your floor heat with tile, because tile transfers heat differently than a lot of other surfaces, so
right.
It feels colder, which is great during the summer, it can cool a space, but we end up wanting to warm them up and make them more comfortable so you have year-round comfort, especially here in the Northwest.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about how this system goes in, because there are a lot of different ones. We're talking about WarmWire, specifically more so today. And the benefit of that is that you can customize any space, right? You're not having a 3x5 mat and that's the space.
Absolutely.
You have a spool of wire that you can put wherever you want, correct?
Correct. So for us, if you have a 30 square foot area to heat, that 30 square feet doesn't matter if the table's over here or the cabinet's over there or the toilet's over here. It doesn't make any difference. It's still 30 net square feet of heated area that we're going to heat. And we can customize the spacing on the heat itself depending on what the needs of the floor are. 3-inch on center is generally the accepted norm for floor heat spacing. But if you have, like, say, a concrete slab in a basement, then you can run it down to 2 and 3 spacing, 2 and 3, whereas maybe in a walk-in closet, you could open that up to 4-inch on center spacing, depending on what the needs of the floor. So it's very customizable.
Yeah, so you could concentrate more heat in areas that are going to get more foot traffic and less so in maybe the perimeter of the room, is that
Absolutely,
right?
And particularly in a walk-in closet, we just want to heat that area that the people are actually walking into, because they're going to stack boxes and shoes and things of that nature on the floor, so we can just heat that main pathway. But in a bathroom application, we really want to go wall to wall with the spacing on that, or with the heating cables themselves.
And you can even go into showers now, right?
Absolutely, and for shower applications, we can heat benches, we can actually heat the floor of the shower. And another benefit having floor heat inside of a wet area is it'll help to knock down mold and mildew. So if we run it wall to wall, it dries out the mortar and the grout so that those bacteria and things don't have a chance to grow.
Yeah, something new I learned today. So very, very cool. Now there are a lot of questions about how much power is this going to run? What are the requirements for what you need in your breaker box?
Well, in the Pacific Northwest, our power is very cheap, and so we do get people asking, how much is it going to cost me to run this? And really the simple answer is that if you're in an average sized bathroom, running your floor heat is about right like running a 75 watt light bulb. So it doesn't really draw a lot of power. You'll probably see it being a wash in terms of your power requirements. But you do want to be cognizant of how you're powering the system. And so for anything 150 square feet and down, we run that on a dedicated 120 volt circuit. Our thermostats are designed to run at 120 or 240 volts. So we could run at 240 volts up to 300 square feet on a single thermostat. And we can run a large area, say if you had 6, 7, 8, 900 square feet, we can design that system so that that will run on a single thermostat for you.
And you can have different zones, and you have relays if you go over those thresholds, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And one of the things that we offer is we can assist you with design. If you had a multiple zone area, you could send me your plans in a PDF and redline where you want heat. And we have the capability of designing and zoning that system for you. And we'll just give you back a materials list with the suggested stat location and make it real simple for you to design your job.
So really, you're taking care of any excuse not to put this stuff in, right? Because you're making it as easy as possible. Anything from super small to really big spaces, that can be a little bit confusing. I understand that. Now, let's look at the thermostat, because these have come a long way, especially in the last handful of years. We got touch screen, we have Wi-Fi connection. What are all the cool features that you have in that thermostat?
Well, our thermostats, so SunTouch, we are the only guys that we actually manufacture our own thermostats. So these are made by our parent company, and these are all touch screen. We can do a lot of cool stuff with them. We can change a lot of settings. We can adjust the floor heat up or down, wherever you want. It's all touchscreen, and these are very intuitive to use. And it gives you many different options on the display. We can change the color. These are just very, very simple to use. But we make them, 3-year warranty on them, all backed up by us.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And what I've done in my bathroom at home is I've just set it and forget it. I know some people will run programs, but where you're kind of turning it up at times and down at others, but you might be getting up in the middle of the night. Who knows when you're going to be needing that floor heat, and there's more energy used when you're rumping it up and down than just letting it coast, right?
Correct. Most people just leave it on at a certain temperature and let it run. The Wi-Fi stats that we offer, they can be run on an app off of your phone. You can change many settings. We're working on some new software that will be compatible with some of the whole home systems. That's upcoming in 2021.
Nice.
But yeah, these are great stats.
Well, what I was excited about, especially with our Bend location opening up later this year, is that you have vacation homes. You still want to have this comfort and feel. Flick it on with the Wi-Fi remotely on your phone,
Absolutely.
So it's all up and running before you even get there.
Absolutely, yes.
Very cool.
Yes, most definitely.
Now, who, I guess, is installing these different portions? You got electrician side and installer side. How's the stuff actually get in?
Yeah, so most of the time the flooring guys are going to be responsible for the floor. We do recommend that you use a qualified licensed electrician to run power to the thermostats, and that's just the norm. Everybody does it. But you want to make sure you follow your local county codes on installation too.
Right. So yeah, I know that a lot of people are concerned with just the overall cost. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, it is a value-added system.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that there's an initial cost for labor and materials, but it is something that adds value to the home itself. And really, at the end of the day, all things considered, it's not that much money. In addition to, if you're going to spend the money on nice porcelain tile or stone or whatever you're installing, adding the floor heat to it is just another comfort value-added product that'll just add value to the system and to your home itself.
And it's something I will say should be brought up early in the design process. I don't think it's something, it's much more difficult to add this on when you've already spent all your money on these fancy fixtures and whatnot, but when you have this built in, and this is one of your priorities because you want that comfort and feel and that added value to your home, having that as part of your initial plan makes everything a lot easier to
Yeah, I agree. I think for people that are in the design and sales part of this process, getting people's head going north and south early in the process, because it's really tough to go from here to here. So we want to get that introduced early in the process and make that something that they want. And usually when people want something, it's going to happen.
Right. And when they do finally want it, it's great to have a lot of stocking partners here in the Portland, Seattle, Northwest area.
Most definitely.
So the turnaround time on these is really quick, if not same day, maybe a couple days if you need to get like a custom size or anything like that.
Yeah, our distribution network is very supportive and very strong here in the Northwest. Our dealers here in the Portland, Seattle area, Oregon and Washington as a whole are stocked very well with our products.
Now, we have a couple other products here, and so we're talking about loose wires, which I feel are very beneficial, especially when you have materials like this heat matrix, this uncoupling membrane that actually has all these spaced out for you. If you don't have this, you could just use like a wire that kind of bolts these down and keeps them in place, right?
Yeah, so there's really, our business is split 50-50 between using the uncoupling membranes or using the cable strapping, which is the old metal strapping with the tabs that you run it manually, and that's kind of 50-50. So there are now many new self-leveling products out on the market from major manufacturers that don't require a primer. So now, today, it's much easier to use the cable strapping, pour a self-leveling material over the cables, and let that set up, get a nice flat surface, particularly when you're installing tile or stone, as opposed to using the uncoupling membrane, which would take the place of backerboard. And so you would adhere the uncoupling membrane with a quality modified thin set to set the wires like we show here, and then just use a quality modified thin set to set your tile right directly over it.
And we talked a lot about tile, but you can put this under just about anything, right?
Sure. We really don't care what you put over it. We of course want you to buy our product and put it in, but as long as the cables themselves are completely encapsulated in thin set mortar, you can install vinyl, carpet, LVT, LVP, really virtually any flooring material over it, as long as the manufacturers that are producing the product are cool with using electric floor heat. We're fine with it. Some manufacturers say radiant heat, but usually when they say radiant heat, they mean the water or glycol systems like our parent company has. So make sure it says radiant or electric heat, and then you're good to go. Put whatever you want over it.
Right. There might just be some tighter specifications with the temperature range and all that.
Yep.
What are some of these other products you have? Because I know you have some mats. You even have some exterior type products too. Yeah.
So our parent company is the largest heating, plumbing, and hydronics company in the world, and we have manufacturing plants all over the globe. And we do offer some things that maybe your customers need, but they don't necessarily think of coming to you to get. So we have snow melting products for driveways, walkways in front of municipalities. We've had restaurants that are requiring snow melting products be set when they're building the restaurant. And we do have interior slab heating, where say somebody was pouring a sunroom, you could actually take this product, tie it directly to the rebar, pour concrete or whatever you want over it, and then you can run it on a standard thermostat.
Very interesting.
And we're also working on snow melting products that can be ran via an app on a phone. That's coming second quarter of 2021.
All right, one final thing I want to mention, because we have right here's the sensor. Why don't you talk about just the general layout and some of those issues you generally come across if these aren't set to those specifications?
So the most important thing in the installation would be the placement of what we call the cold lead splice. And this is the splice between the power leads and the actual heating cables themselves. This splice must be placed out in the field, and it needs to be completely encapsulated in thin set mortar. Some of the mistakes that we see in the field are the guys will come out of the conduit, and there's generally a space of about 5/8 below the bottom of the drywall on the subfloor, and so they'll run that right along this wall here, and that's going to be a recipe for problems. So we need that out here in the field, and we need the heating cables and the cold lead splice completely encapsulated in thin set mortar. Which actually kind of takes us to another thing where we actually, if you do have issues, we are as pretty much the only guys that have full field service available to assist you if you do have any issues.
Right, I mean, you're right here in Vancouver. I know
Yep.
you come over to my house to check on it and make sure everything's running smoothly.
I know, I have to program your thermostat. I'm getting a little tired of that.
I know. One thing we did as another kind of fail-safe is we ran 2 of these sensors on ours. One of them, just a backup, and it's not connected. It's just kind of tied off in the wall. So if there's any defect in that sensor, which is probably more likely than the wire itself, then we have a backup that's right there without tearing up anything on the floor.
Yeah, and that's kind of the old school way, and you can do that if you want to, but we do have another feature on the thermostats themselves where if sometimes what happens with these things is you can see the wires are down here on the bottom, and maybe when the folks are maybe putting baseboard in and they run a brad nail through this, you know, and then this sensor fails. Our thermostats do have a feature where there's a sensor on the bottom of the thermostat that allows the thermostat to run on room sensing temperature rather than floor sensing. So you don't have to install another sensor lead or tear it up and put another one in. It's just a backup that we have.
Very cool.
Doesn't happen too often, but just to help out.
All right, well, it's nice to have you right here with us in the Northwest. We appreciate all your support and service. This is something I'm telling you, once you have it, you will never go back. This is hugely beneficial, not only just for the comfort, but for the efficiency in heating spaces, as we mentioned before. So if you haven't already, come chat with us, ask these questions. SunTouch is a great partner of ours. There are other lines and manufacturers out there that are great too. Everybody kind of has their own preference. I know from experience these are great. You will love them. Trust me, you got my stamp of approval. Is there anything else you want to mention before we cut you loose?
No, thanks for having me. It's great talking to everyone.
Well, thank you guys, and we look forward to seeing you soon.